Welcome to My Fitness Journey, a fitness podcast where we highlight everyday people and their fitness journeys. And by doing so, we hope that we could get you to rethink what it means to be fit and to understand that this journey is a lifestyle change and not a quick fix system. Let's do it.
System fitness. Let's bounce.
What's up, everyone? My name is Thomas Noah, and welcome to another episode of My Fitness Journey. It just seems like this just keeps getting better and better, getting more exciting, getting a wide range of guests, and I'm extremely excited for today's guest, Carly. I am excited because I feel like this is one of the first times that I actually don't personally know a guest, which is great. Yeah. Because that just means there's so much to talk about, so much that I genuinely want to know and learn. And I appreciate your story because there's so much dynamic to it, you know, from a mom to an athlete to a coach. I am so excited for this conversation. So that being said, Carly, the floor is yours. Welcome to My Fitness Journey.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Should I give you a little idea about myself?
Take it.
Okay. All right. Well, so as you said, I'm a mom of two boys, 13 and 7. I have been a fitness instructor kind of as a side hustle for the past 7, going on 8 years. I found that I really had a passion for being a fitness instructor. It wasn't something I set out to do. I'm a jack of all trades. I've done a lot of things. But that's my true passion. And I've developed, I don't know if it's a unique way of looking at fitness, but my personal way of looking at fitness is to try to help people find the joy in working out. Because I believe that if you're not having a good time doing something, you won't stay consistent, and consistency is the name of the game. Through that and just trying to help other people find the joy in what they're doing, I found a lot of joy myself. I started out teaching Barr. That was the first thing I got certified in. And that's where I truly started to experience the love I have for teaching and helping others. And then I expanded to yoga. And then I started creating my own kind of fusion classes. Yes. And then 2 years ago, my business partner and I started Splash HIIT, which is an Aqua fitness company, bringing HIIT, so high intensity, low impact exercises to the water. So it's not water aerobics. Yeah, it's for athletes and it's for everyone, but it's definitely an intense experience. But again, it's intense, but it's enjoyable and it makes people want to keep doing it. That's pretty much my fitness journey. I'm also a triathlete. I was a high school athlete, not a college athlete. I think I maybe got a little burnt out and I wanted to enjoy college from a different perspective than being an athlete. But then I think I really did kind of miss that team aspect, being part of a team, which was so important to me in high school. And maybe that's what came out later with developing my love for teaching fitness and bringing the fitness community together, and also racing, doing triathlons. I just love the idea of doing 3 different sports, swimming, biking, and running. I find it enjoyable, so it just makes me want to keep doing it again and again. I'm also a runner. I like to just stay active. I do a lot of things.
It sounds like it, which
I'm
is
busy.
Absolutely amazing, and that's great. I think you started talking about your philosophy, and I remember that's one of the things that we connected on. So I'm excited to dive into, your specialties, but then also your philosophy, your mindset, and what you try to instill into your clients. The one thing that is also great is also being a mother. I think as a parent, what I took away from just getting to talk to you initially was just the influence you had on your kids, your boys, which is something I actually want to kind of talk about a little bit more and kind of take a step back before we start to really dive deep into these other areas. Get to know you a little bit more. And what I like to do, and the reason why I always kind of start from the beginning, right? The root of it is because one, it always before without even asking why, I know I understand why. You know, a lot of people's passions and their career paths and just how they pivoted and also evolved tend to be because of some type of influence or experience when growing up. So I always like to get to know that first, and then things start to kind of click as we talk about the later years. So that being said, so two boys, it sounds like you guys, and you mentioned your husband too. It sounds like you guys have a, pretty healthy or an athletic family.
Yes. Yeah, we do. My husband was a soccer player, goalkeeper. He was a coach. And now my two sons have developed a passion for soccer as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think that I think it's because both my husband and I treat fitness as truly part of our lives. It's never been like a fad for us. We don't talk about fitness in regards to losing weight, which I know is a goal for many people, which is totally fine. But for us, it's just we incorporate it into our everyday lives. I think both boys have seen us really focus on making fitness part of our everyday activity. So we're not telling them to do it, to play sports or to even just work out or do active things. They see us doing it. So to them, it's normal. It's like what people do, and they want to do it too. I think that has been, as a parent, you make a lot of mistakes, and I make a lot of mistakes, but that's one area where I feel confident that I've really been a good influence on my kids, and my husband as well. I know he'd say the same thing.
That's cool. So for you, what were some of the sports you played growing up?
I tried everything. Yeah. So I wasn't really good at everything, but the sport I first fell in love with I would have to say would be basketball. But I was feeling very confident when I was a younger kid playing basketball. But then when I got up to the high school level, I started to realize I'm not the most aggressive person, so I kind of phased out a little bit. Then I got into tennis. I also played softball. I really enjoyed softball when I was younger, but again, once I got to the older level, I kind of was like, nah, I don't know if that's for me. But tennis I really developed later on, and I loved it. I've been running since I think the first time I took a run around the block because I wanted to be like my dad was in second grade. And I think I ran my first 5-mile race in third grade.
Wow.
But again, it wasn't for I wasn't competing for anything. Right. It was just because I thought it was pretty cool. It was a great feeling, that feeling of accomplishment to set a goal and crush it. But I did like figure skating, horseback riding, and I hated a lot of it.
Okay. So here is kind of going back even to your family growing up. It seems like what you have become to your kids, your parents were to you. Like when you talk about your dad wanting to be like your dad, was he also an athlete? He
was always very athletic and was back then too. But I remember he had a really hard job with a lot of hours. So he'd leave the house at 6 and he'd come back at 6. And even in the winter, every day he'd be out there running. Even if in the dead of winter when it was dark and we couldn't eat dinner until he came back from his run as a family. So again, it wasn't looked at, it was just normal to us. And I wanted to be like that because to me, I just thought that was really cool. And my mom played tennis and she liked to go for her walks, and we skied as a family. Fitness was part of our family, but it was never super a competitive thing. It was more just that's what we did and we enjoyed it.
Became your norm.
Yeah, it was a norm. I didn't even think of it
as
fitness, really. I don't think. Yeah.
And like I said, that's why I like to go back to these moments and these stories, because to see what your philosophy is now, this is what you lived.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't a matter of setting a specific goal, losing weight. It's just you barely even knew what exactly you were doing, but you were living a healthy lifestyle without even thinking about it.
Right. We didn't have to think about it. It was just, we did it. Yeah. And we liked it.
That's an experience that, personally, I didn't grow up with that. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't, So that's a really, really cool kind of environment to grow up in. Do you have any siblings growing up?
Yes, I have a brother. He's 2 years younger. And he was the same. He loves sports.
Do you guys ever compete with each other?
Yes, kind of, but we're very different.
Okay.
we compete in a surface level, but yeah, no, he does his thing and I do mine, and we support each other. We never had a really super competitive relationship like some brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that.
I got you. What does your journey looks like now? So you talked about college. You didn't play, any sports in college. One of the things that we connected on was you didn't play a sport in college because you wanted to go abroad.
Yep. I don't know if I set out when I went to college with that in the back of my mind, thinking that's the reason why I didn't play a sport. I truly think at that point, I just didn't want to be committed to anything because I think I was at the point where I felt like maybe at that point I had played a lot of sports and felt like that was my identity, and I wanted to maybe change my identity a little bit. But now I realize as I got older that I do love.
That is your identity. You can't run away from it.
I think I just wanted to try a new Carly.
Yeah. Wow.
It's all part of the journey.
So how did that experience went? You said you went to Spain?
Denmark. Well, I lived in Spain after college, but I studied abroad in Denmark. Yeah, that was one of the highlights of my life. I wouldn't change that for anything.
Oh, man. There's a pattern. It's like our creative director Kat and I actually, we didn't meet in Italy. We went to the same college, but we both studied in Italy. Yeah. Probably 2 years apart. And I think there's always a pattern with people who had that experience. It's just that becomes that turning point for a lot of people.
Yep.
Something that is just a major part of all of our lives.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting, to hear you say that as well about Denmark.
Yep. Yeah, it was amazing.
What were some of your favorite parts things about Denmark?
Well, I have family there. Okay. So that is the reason I wanted to go.
Okay.
But then my favorite parts were just meeting the people that I lived with, because I lived with a family. I was randomly placed with a family, and then we have become best friends. So the whole experience of just meeting the Danes and living with them and knowing that it's my culture too, getting to see the places where my grandfather lived and the eating ice cream where he used to eat ice cream, and just seeing the things I had always heard about. It was magical. So
that is cool. So at what point then did you came back and then you lived in Spain for a few years? So
I came back, I graduated college, and then I knew that it was time for me to get a real job, but I wasn't ready to grow up.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really ready, I guess. So I saved up enough money waitressing, and I asked my parents if I could go to Spain to learn Spanish, because I thought that would be the thing that would get me my international career that I thought I wanted. Again, didn't really end up that way, but I saved up enough money to go to this immersion program in Spain, and I did that. And I didn't get what I had planned out of getting. I didn't get the international job, but it's still one of the best experiences because I was all alone, and no one spoke English, and it was just me, myself, and I had to get myself through a lot of crazy situations. So.
I imagine. So what was the food experience like?
Oh. Amazing. Yeah, so good. Yeah, I usually judge places I go by the food.
It meant to that. Same here. Yes.
Yep. I love Spanish food. The tapas, the wine, their way of eating. It was definitely a big change for me because you eat dinner at 10 o'clock at night. Restaurants don't even get crowded until 10 o'clock. And I'm more of a morning person, so that was a little bit of an adjustment. But I can remember not all, but a lot of my meals, every detail of them. Yeah.
Wow. What was how easy or hard was it to adapt to the portion sizes over there?
I never even thought of that. I think it was harder to adapt with when they ate their meals, because in the morning, breakfast was like a cookie or a piece of bread, and I like to have a hearty, healthy breakfast, and then they eat their big meal as lunch, or at 1 o'clock. And that again just felt weird to me. And then they had a snack or a light meal at 8 o'clock.
Dinner when we eat heavy.
So it wasn't the portions, it was more just the time of eating. It was a little odd for me because I have my energy in the morning, and their eating was played towards having your energy more at night.
Wow. I actually didn't have an issue with that late night culture because I'm African, I grew up in Liberia, and it's the same thing.
So it's
Dinners
the
are
same.
later on, at night.
Which I think is maybe like the way that, did you have like a big meal during the day? Like, or did you have lunch?
Lunch was, I think for us, dinner was our heaviest.
Okay, so you did eat your heaviest meal later in the day.
Later on in the day, yeah. So breakfast wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
You kind of like snack here and there or whatever you can get your hands on during the day. But like the family sit down, big meal was usually dinner.
Yeah.
So coming here, I immigrated here in 2003. So a lot of what Europe and Italy brought from me was like a flashback, a positive, like really, I felt like when I got to Italy, weirdly, like I felt like I was home.
That's cool.
There were so many aspects of the culture that like it felt like a deja vu. And that was one of it too. But the thing that was a struggle for me was the portion size.
Yeah.
My stomach actually shrunk when I was after a few months, but like I was starving all the time for the first month and a half because everything was just so small when you go out. And then it adjusted, and then I came back here. It was like, and now I had to like kind of adjust. My stomach had to adjust again to the American supersize everything.
Yes. Yeah. It's different. It is different. And now that I'm thinking, I think in Denmark, that was in the beginning. It was a little harder, but they eat a lot slower, which helps you eat smaller portions, which I actually really like. And it's not like I was shoveling food in my mouth, but the pace, like you sit down and you talk and you put down your knife and fork. So that was hard to get used to, but I like that a lot better.
I think we all needed that too.
Yes.
Coming from this fast-paced world that we live in, I think we all needed that balance.
We're always in a rush.
Yes.
Yeah. And I find myself rushing now, again, eating faster than I should.
Yep. Yeah. Same here when it comes to how fast I eat. Everybody knows me for everybody knows me for how fast I eat. And now I actually have to like remind myself to slow down. Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially when I'm hungry. That's when I tend to want to just go in. But so we definitely have the same passion for food. And
but it's a balance.
Yes. Exactly, right? It's a healthy balance, healthy relationship with food. That's something I'm going to talk about a lot in the episode with the nutritionist. It's just having a healthy balance and relationship with food, which is sadly a lot of people don't have, because there's this guilt, right? And this culture, everybody trying to do and adapt and, fit into a diet or somebody else's lifestyle that it doesn't suit them at all. So, so it's very often that I have the conversation with people and trying to get them to, and I'm sure you do too, trying to get them to a place where they enjoy the experience because that's what food is supposed to be.
Yep.
Not a guilt thing.
Yeah, no, to remove the guilt, but that's really hard for some people.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's a slow progress a lot of the time, but it's a great place to be, as we know, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. So then, you talked about community, some of the things that you missed, and I felt the same thing too. Missed about, no longer playing a sport, a varsity sport, was you lose that community, you lose that structure, and then you have to create that for yourself. At what point did you kind of start to get back into your fitness journey again?
Structure, yeah. I think that's a good question. College, I got into a really good routine of getting up in the morning and working out. So I think that I created a really good routine for myself then. But I think it was probably when I started working, my first job, I just sat around at a desk all day. And so I really started to feel different. I just felt like I missed more activity. So then I would really be focused on getting my workout done in the morning before I went to work. Because I knew from, like I said before, I'm a morning person. So once I'm done with work, I'm exhausted, even if I was sitting around, and I wouldn't want to do it. So that's when I started to really focus on making sure I was getting some kind of movement or activity in every day, even if it was just a walk. Obviously, you don't want to be doing high intensity fitness every single day, like slamming your body. And that's when I got into triathlons as well. I saw my husband do a triathlon and I thought, that looks like so much fun. And then I
The last thing that most people say.
I know, that's why I'm a little weird. Yeah, so then I decided to sign.
What?
I signed up for one and I had a like broken mountain bike where the seat was broken. And it was
man,
I was
that?
so loved it. I thought it was the best thing ever. That it was so fun.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then I really got into it for a couple of years with doing triathlons. I can't say that I like to keep things fun, so I never wanted to take it overly seriously, and I think that drives some people crazy. I mean, I obviously time myself, but I don't have like state-of-the-art equipment because to me, I want to keep it something that's enjoyable, because then when I start to like focus on my speed and how well I do too much, then it takes the fun out of it. For me, for my personality. I want to keep the joy there.
That is so cool.
I guess, or weird.
No, honestly, I think more people should have that mindset.
I do too.
I try to keep it fun because honestly, like when it comes to me and marathons, like I'm not a professional athlete. I'm not doing it to win a race or anything like that. But I tend to compete with myself too.
Yeah.
You know, and tend to set aggressive goal. I'm always undertrained, but yet like trying to go above and beyond. It's not always good for your body,
right?
You know, but at the end of the day, like I do it because I enjoy the experience, and it's doing it with other people, which is why I like to travel and do these stuff. You know, so it's not a weird thing at all. But I
think you're doing what's true to you. Like to you, your experience is that you like to handle your races like that, and that feels joyful to you. I think that some people like to have state-of-the-art equipment and take it super seriously and constantly be striving to better themselves or get competitive with other people. If that feels true to them, then I think that's fine. But I think the key is finding what feels good to you, but being honest about that. Yeah.
That's awesome. How many triathlons have you done?
A lot. So I did my first one in 2005. Okay. And I would say I've done 2 to 3 per year since then. But during COVID, it not. And last year I just did one sprint. But I worked my way up. So I started with the sprints, which are the shortest distances. Okay. And
so when you say shortest distance,
so that's usually, I mean, give or take, it's a 1/4 mile swim. It's usually about a 13-mile bike and a 5K run. Okay. That's a sprint. And then the Olympic is
I'm watching Kat's reaction in the back.
They're fun. I know it sounds weird, but they are fun. Yeah. They're fun, and the people that are doing them are so fun too, because everybody is just, I don't know, they're just
you're
fun.
In it together.
Yeah, and then the Olympics are like, again, the swim varies, but let's say like a 1/2 mile swim and 20 something bike. I can't remember the exact distance, and a 10K. For the run. And then I worked my way up to a 1/2 iron, which is a mile swim and a 52 mile bike, and then a half marathon. And I've done that twice, and I was training for my 3rd one, but then COVID hit. And I'm not good with, like, I couldn't do it remotely. I need the spirit of the race. For that kind of race, I'm not going to get up and do it myself.
I hear you.
I'll tell people I did it, but I won't.
Yeah, that's why I was nowhere to be found during COVID when it comes to things like that and the virtual. Like I did one half.
Yeah.
It's just not like,
it's not the same. Like when you do a race, like part of it is like arriving and having the butterflies and meeting all the really nice people. Yes. And then if you don't, I mean, I love to work out by myself. I'm very motivated, but I'm not. But if for a race, like that's the reason I'm signing up for a race. Exactly. It's the experience. Yes. Yeah. So I felt like a slacker, but then the more I think about it, I'm like, man, I'm just being honest with myself.
No, I appreciate that because I was the same way, you know, and now that everything is starting to open up again, you know, it has opened up, I'm back doing it, you know, so I hear you. It's just like, I always say, like, I don't enjoy running all that much, to be honest.
Oh, I don't
you know, so I'm not going to put myself through 26 miles and torture, which is gonna at that point is torture because you lose the fun aspect of it.
100%.
So it's like, why? I mean, I'm not getting paid for this.
Right.
I'm not putting myself
No,
through that.
I like running because I like short runs, and I'll go for a long run now and again.
Yeah.
But like I like the atmosphere of the race. I like the food after it, and
Yes.
the beer after
The celebration and
it.
everything.
Yeah, it's a celebration.
And sometimes that's the only reason why you're actually able to finish that line, you get across the finish line. It's everyone else. Whether it's people who are racing with you, pushing each other, or just subconsciously motivating you, or just the crowd.
It's so fun.
Right? I imagine doing a 26, like a marathon just by myself, just for the sake of.
That sounds like negative fun.
No, it is 100%.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a marathon, by the way?
No, because I really don't. I don't consider myself like a. I like the idea of a triathlon because it's 3 different things, and I feel like it's healthier on my body. Running just doesn't feel as good to me as it did. But I can't ever say it ever felt comfortable. But now I'm like, no, I'm like a half marathon is as long as I'll go.
That's a sweet spot.
Yeah, it's a sweet spot. It's long enough for me. I feel accomplished, and I don't feel like I need to keep going.
Yeah, you don't feel like, yeah.
I'm all set.
That's good.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So you didn't really like climb your way up or anything. You just decided like triathlon is my sport.
Yeah, I think they're fun. And you meet the nicest people.
I imagine so. How about your experience with your husband? Do you guys ever do a friendly competition with each other? You guys actually even done a race together?
Yeah, we'd done a half marathon together, and it was fun training. He's so supportive. Like we get competitive, but he's not your typical like testosterone driven ego guy. Like he loves to see me do better than him. Awesome. Like he doesn't have to beat me, but he knows he's like a lot. Like he can train for less time and really get fast. Like he's more agile, or like he's very athletic, but he's also really comfortable with just like
having fun with it.
Having fun. Yeah.
That's cool. So one thing I would love to really dive deep into just your mindset, right? Fit Fun Carly. I love the name, and that's the name of your brand.
Yeah. And
honestly, like I think by this point everyone gets why it's Fit Fun Carly. Right? It's like you've already started to, from how you grew up.
Yep.
Right? And just how you like your mindset and just your everyday practice is Fit Fun Carly. Yeah. So let's dive a little bit more into that. What is it about why Fit Fun Carly? Once again, what is the philosophy?
Yeah. So again, my philosophy is that if it's not fun, you're not going to be consistent. And I believe that consistency is the name of the game. When I was in Denmark, the last time, I remember I had a conversation with one of my best friends, and she hit the nail on the head. She said, we're going to get up every morning to work out. And I was like, yeah, great. Sure. Can't wait. And she said, even if we don't feel like it, we're still going to get up and we're going to walk to the park and we're going to just do what we can, because then we are continuing in the pattern that we created for ourselves. So you're not putting so much pressure on yourself, but you're being consistent with going about your routine. I think a lot of people come up against barriers with fitness because they feel like it has to take up so much time. So I'm of the mindset that if you're willing to put in the work, it doesn't have to take you forever. Like, let's work out for a shorter amount of time. I'm going to push you, and you have to be willing to put the work in, but there's no reason why like a high intensity workout needs to be more than 30 minutes. Most of my classes are 45, but you can, if you're willing to work hard, you can even get it done in 30 minutes. There's no excuses. Or you know what? If you don't have 30 minutes, do 20. Yeah. Can you do 15? If you're sitting at your desk working, can you get up and do 10 minutes, keep some weights under your desk and do 10 minutes and maybe do that 3 times a day? Like, think outside the box a little bit. It doesn't have to be a standard workout at an expensive gym. Like, how can you incorporate fitness into everyday aspects of your life? Be creative. You don't need to spend a lot of money, and you just need to be motivated.
That's it. That's all it takes. And I think this is, and I appreciate your philosophy, because we're just about the same in terms of like our business models. For me, it's fitness for busy people. Yes. Right. And that means you have limited time. And as a result, and the name of the company is 3G, go, get in, get out. Yeah. In the sense that it doesn't have to, like you said, it doesn't have to be this 1 hour, an hour and a half. Like, first of all, who has that time nowadays, right? Half an hour, 20 minutes, 45 minutes is really all you need. And based on everything you're describing, we're going to go a little bit more into the detail. that is the sweet spot. Rather than going in there and just walking around and figuring out what am I going to do today, you're going in with a plan and you're banging it out within the 20 minutes that you have, half an hour that you have, and you're getting out of there and you feel like you just worked out for like 2 hours. And then something that I also very much appreciate about what you said was the consistency piece. And when I hear consistency, I hear lifestyle. How important is that lifestyle component of the journey when it comes to your clients?
That's the whole point, is that I want to try to show them that in order for you to feel successful and to be successful long term, you have to make it part of your lifestyle. Like, it has to become your norm. The idea being, like I said in Denmark, like, we're going to get up even if we don't really feel like it. And even if we're not, maybe today doesn't feel as good as yesterday did, we're still going to get up and attempt to stay in shape or to do our routine. The shorter workout frames really work, but again, you have to be willing to be consistent about it. And that is a lifestyle change. Like, it has to be, you kind of have to take the drudgery out of it. And in order to take the drudgery out of it, you need to find something that you think is semi-fun, challenging, but you can have challenging and fun, or really start to get, I think addicted sometimes is maybe not the right word because it has a negative connotation, but I mean this in a positive sense. Like, addicted to the feeling when you're done. Like, you got to get over like that. Yes, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to know that it's not going to be pleasant. It's not a spa. You're going to have to put the work in. But that feeling, the endorphins that you get when you're done, outweigh the discomfort you had during the workout. Like, if you can get addicted to that feeling, you're going to want it again and again. And then it's just going to create healthy habits because you're going to want that more.
Absolutely. And I always talk about, like, and I agree, because when it comes to that being addicted to the feeling, I actually say that very often. My goal as a trainer, and we talked about this too, is to not keep a client. My goal is to provide you the resources, the tools, the confidence for you to move on and be independent and have all the resources that you need to then make this a lifestyle change, right? I 100% agree with everything you're saying. One thing that you said about, like, I actually wrote down is, it doesn't have to suck.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And I think there is this fear, when it comes to, for example, like, every time someone, I ask someone to work out with me, their mindset is always like, they'll almost kind of, go into this panic mode because they think intensity.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that's not what it's about. Like, everybody has their limit, right? And then also you have to find something that works for you and that you enjoy. That's why I love everything about, like, literally I have all these quotes from you: making it enjoyable, every little thing counts, and fit into your lifestyle. One thing that I hope that everybody, that we all learned through COVID, it's also the fact that home fitness, right? Everything in the store, like, you couldn't find anything, online during COVID because people became educated about, fitness at home and wherever you are and in your comfort zone, and also getting creative and adaptive and everything that you're saying right now. So that's something that I hope to, I think that really kind of revolutionized and changed people's mindset, that, like, it doesn't have to be this, like, crazy 5-star, like, equipment or in the, 5-star gym or this, like, intense environment.
And I thought about that with yoga. Like, to me, when I first started yoga, it had to be in a hot studio. I had to have the not fancy, but like really nice yoga outfit on. And I was like, it had to be this experience that I couldn't do it without the external stuff that I thought was yoga. And now, since COVID, when you couldn't go into the studio, I've found that I can hop up from my desk dressed like this and have my mat there and do 10 minutes of yoga. It doesn't have to be this all or nothing experience. And I'm probably, and I know I am, getting more out of it, and I'm more connected to my practice than I ever was because it's part of my lifestyle now. I don't have to go anywhere. I can just plop on the floor and do some yoga.
Great timing to transition into the many different areas that, that you specialize in. So Barre, yoga, and
HIIT classes, yeah,
yeah.
fusion.
But let's start with Barre because I know very little about Barre, and the most I actually knew is what you taught me. I haven't experienced it, but I know that's a growing industry as well.
Yeah, so Barre is based on ballet dance, but that's, again, I took my Barre training and I took it for what I wanted it to mean. So I obviously was trained in Barre, and it's based on tiny movements and using all the muscles that you don't usually get to. So a lot of toning, a lot of burn, taking those exercises. And then I have created my own way of teaching it where I bring in a little more HIIT sometimes, or maybe in a little bit of yoga. It's meant to strengthen, lengthen, work on your posture. So everything you think of when you see a ballet dancer, it's the same idea of what you would be looking for to get out of a Barre class. There's brands of Barre that are very strict and very tied into dance. And then there's some, like the way I teach it, who teach it more as like an athletic experience. And anybody who's taken my class is probably laughing right now because I teach it differently than I think anybody else does.
I would actually love, and I think you mentioned that, it's still heavily like a female.
I know a lot of guys who take it, but there's a stigma against it. So you have to be a very secure man to go to a Barre class. But I have had male students, and they came religiously. I think it just shows that they're like super confident and they really don't care what anybody else thinks.
That's great.
More guys should take Barre.
I would love, and that's where I was going.
Because you have never experienced a burn until you've experienced a Barre burn.
Yes. And I can already see, and yes, I agree with you with the stigma because it's the same stigma with yoga.
Yes.
And I think over the years that many people have learned that yoga, I mean, even athletes, like professional athletes, are incorporating yoga now because of how important it is for performance and recovery. And so I imagine that's really what Barre does for you as well.
Yes, it does. But I think it's a good point to, like, I'm big into being well-rounded with your fitness, which I think is why I like to teach so many different types of fitness, because I know there's some people that just like love Barre and all they want to do is Barre, and that's great. It's great. But I think that you're missing out on so many other things if you're just doing one thing. So I think it's important to try it all, and then it also keeps it fun and interesting, and you're working different parts of your body in different ways. Just trying it all.
That's it. I'm a huge fan of cross training for that exact thing. I mean, our body is meant to be fluid, right? We movement, mobility, like it's extremely important, flexibility and everything else. So when you are specializing in a particular area, you tend to neglect all that.
100%.
Especially when it comes to the reason why something like a Barre yoga exists. A lot of the time we focus on the bigger muscle groups and no one actually think about fibers and muscles that actually help with our everyday functions, and being able to move well and actually stay active and prevent more injuries in actually the bigger muscle groups.
Right. And I feel like if you're somebody who's just running all the time and all you're doing is using the muscles that are involved in running, I mean, it's going to take its toll on your body. And then you might not be able to do the other things you wished you could have done. Right. So just doing a little bit of everything can really help with injury prevention and also just introduce you to a bunch of different ways, fun ways of moving your body.
Yep, exactly. I started doing yoga for that reason. And honestly, it has been one of the best things for my long distance running, especially as a muscular runner. I recognize that I really needed it, in order for me to stay healthy and stay active, and I'm, using it now consistently, especially when I have races and the closer I get to race day, the more I start to incorporate yoga. So I'm able to recover faster and bounce back faster and make sure that I'm good when it comes to like injuries and being mindful of certain things that are getting tighter or whatever it is, So then yoga, you mentioned it's also a pattern here with you, right? You tend to kind of turn everything thing into the Carly way of doing things.
Yeah, I called it Carly Barr.
Carly Barr,
yeah, it's
yeah.
like my own little, yeah, and I think that's yeah, I do that to pretty much everything.
Which is great. So what are some of the ways that you personalize yoga?
When I taught in a studio for a long time, I didn't set out intentionally to be like this. Well, I just think it's my personality, but my classes were pretty intense and strength-based, obviously working on flexibility as well. But I think if you asked anybody, it would be like, oh, she has us in planks a lot, or she just works on lots of strength, but while keeping it fun and just reinforcing the fact that you should be listening to your body and doing what feels good to you, and always offering accommodations if somebody couldn't or didn't feel like doing what I was offering. But also, like, I think with every fitness class I teach, I just try to bring a sense of lightness and sense of humor to it. It's only a fitness class. Like, keep it fun. Yes. Going back to that fit fun, Carly, try to find the joy and try to keep it in perspective and try to be grateful that you're even have the ability to do whatever it is you're doing, and know that every day is different. Some days it's going to feel great. Some days maybe it's not going to feel so great, but that doesn't mean if it's not feeling so great, you should quit. Just get through it, and tomorrow's a new day. Awesome. That kind of keep a light attitude about it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I imagine so many people, it sounds like for you and your crew, your clients, it seems like it's all about the experience. And I imagine 100%. I would love to talk to a lot of them and just to kind of hear that perspective of, what life is like hanging out with you, because...
Well, the funny about the experience is when we created Splash Hit, which is our Aqua fitness company, that's what it is. We call it a fitness experience. We say it's more than just the workout, because it's a very intense workout in the water. But it's more than that, because you're working out it sounds corny, but you're working out your soul. It's like it's a community, and it's like joyful, and it's fun, and you feel like a little kid again because you're splashing in the water. And it's we call it like a party in the pool. And it's just, again, it's like putting my own spin. I took a water aerobics class, and water aerobics is great. I mean, I have nothing against water aerobics, but I felt like it could be more of an intense experience. Like, let's take this water aerobics thing and turn it into a high intensity fitness class. So
that's cool. So when did you guys start? Is it Splash Hit?
Splash Hit.
Yeah. How long has it been around for?
Coming on, so I started teaching it coming on 3 years ago, and we became a brand. It'll be 2 years in January. Wow. And we have a teacher training program. So we teach other people how to teach our method. We created the method, and then now we teach other instructors, and I still teach it. Yeah. It's incredible. It's so fun.
That is pretty awesome. I think one thing that is extremely important is to talk about you as a mother, right? And your kids, you say 13 and 7?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're old enough now where they're starting to create their own habits and figuring out who they are. How has that been for you as a parent when it comes to, you're very active, you look healthy, I imagine you eat healthy, and your lifestyle is healthy. How has that been with your kids overall?
Good. I mean, as far as eating, I'm mindful of nutrition. I think we're wholesome eaters. They eat sugar. I don't cut anything out. I like beer. I like wine. I like a cocktail. I think we're big into in everything in balance. Work hard, play hard. So have a good time, but just remember what's important. Everything in moderation. As far as working out, I'm not the type to be like, go outside, work out. You need to work out. It's just something that they do, I think, because that's what they see us do. I think, especially my older son is very rigid and he likes making workout plans, and he probably gets that from me. But he likes doing it, so I'll support him. But I also think there's a fine line too, where that can start to be a little too much. So I mean, just having my eye on the situation. And obviously, my younger son really likes sugar, so making sure he's not only eating sugar, making sure they have their veggies too, but also their kids. And if you tell them he can't have a lot of sugar or he can't have any sugar, Not a lot. If he can have any, he's going to want it more.
He's going to want more, yeah.
I think just leading by example, if I just tell them they have to exercise, but then I'm sitting on the couch all the time, like they're not going to listen. You have to, actions speak louder than words. Yes. They have to see you doing it. If you talk about it too much, they're not going to want to do it because that gets old too. Yes. So it's just actions, and doing things together as a family, active things.
That's cool. It's, man, you know, and I think one of the things too that tend to happen, it can also sometimes for the kids, it could be, you know, pressure. And it sounds like you never really create an environment where they feel pressure to live a certain way versus based on your lifestyle, you know, in a biblical sense, you being a light, they follow just watching your, you know, you and your husband's lifestyle, the way you do things, the way you move, you know, and they just follow.
Yeah, and I think a big thing for us too is it fun? Because they're kids, and especially with my older son who's really serious about soccer and really doing extremely well. Yeah. And there's a lot of pressure at a young age. And checking in every now and again, is it fun? Because if it's not fun, you're only 13.
Are you still having fun?
Yeah, then like let's not do this anymore. Like you're like, let's not make this like let's keep it as light as it can be. Right. Yeah, like don't lose the joy.
That's funny because believe it or not, even, you know, from a leadership standpoint, and, you know, my team knows me for that too. Like, I'm always checking in to make sure that everybody's having fun because at the end of the day, like, why else are we here? Why are we doing this?
Why are you doing? Life's way too short. They're way too short.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To have this like intense environment. That's so awesome to see that. Yeah. And it's so important. And I hope that this resonates with a lot of parents. And one specific quote I want to talk about is, so I wrote, you can't be telling your kids to get up and move when you're sitting down doing nothing. How important is that for parents? Because rather than, you know, just living by example is stuff that you.
And I get it. I'm not saying like not everybody has to be an Energizer bunny and bouncing around the house all the time, but I hear it a lot from parents like, can you work with so-and-so? Because I really want him to be moving. And sometimes, and I'm more than happy to help. But yeah, I don't think you always necessarily need to hire somebody else. I think it can start at home. Right. And you can probably be a good influence on each other and hold each other accountable. And be honest. If it's a struggle, if you're struggling, one day you wake up and you're talking to your kids and you're like, you know, I'm tired today. I don't feel like moving, or I'm feeling a little low today or something. And they see you overcome that, then that's so powerful, I think. And it's showing them that it's human not to want to work out or sometimes you don't feel like exercising, but a little bit goes a long way. And it's all about patterning and just making it part of your life. So just being open and honest, make it a family activity.
Absolutely. And then I wanted to make a point earlier, and it just came back to me because one of the comments that I had written down, results, right? They see the results, and they want the results, right? We talked about it earlier, and you were hesitant about using the term addiction, right? Addicted to results, and for me as a trainer, I think my perspective on training changed when I started to look at study the human mind a little bit more, the human behavior a little bit more. And it's a very psychological thing where my philosophy is, if I can tap into your psychic and understand your why and really get you to a point of being addicted to the results, and you start to see in how you feel, like, I don't have to do anything. I can tell you jump how high and you'll ask how high. I could just, you know, and that's the goal, is for you to be addicted to the results, where my job gets very easy. You know, I just have to show up, and then, or you become like proactive in your experience, and now you're setting expectations for yourself, and it's not me doing all of it.
Right, but it has to be the person that gets there, and in order to get there, I think you have to put the time in to get consistent so you can feel it. Like, you have to want it. Like, it's hard to work. I have really hard time working with people who don't want to put the work in. Like, they want the result, but they don't want to do what it takes to get the result. And I find that's extremely frustrating because like I can tell you to do, it's the opposite of what you said. I could tell you to do all these things, but if you don't want it and you don't want to put the work in, it's not going to work for you. And like, that's on you, not on me. Like that doesn't mean I'm a bad fitness trainer. That means that maybe you're not ready, or maybe it's not a match, but you haven't tapped into that part of yourself. I was talking to my son's friend's mom, and he gained a lot of weight during COVID, and he couldn't lose it, and he was depressed. One day he woke up and he said, "Mom, I'm going to cut out soda and I'm going to stop eating dessert." And she said, "Okay." And he's like, "No, from today moving forward." And he lost 30 pounds
there
in
you
6
go.
months. And now he's addicted to that good feeling he has. He goes for a run after school, and now he feels so good about himself. And he did it for himself.
Yes.
He found that part of him, like you said. And then like you said, you could tell he just wants that feeling. Yes. It's so addicting.
It's a great place to have, especially for kids.
Yes. Find that early is so great.
Yes. And because they can also then become a great influence on their friends. That is awesome. And that's one of the main reasons why I was excited about having you on this episode, because you bring in a whole different perspective, especially from a parent standpoint. You know, you're definitely bringing a whole new audience that can relate, but also take a lot of lessons from everything that you've said. And then also, as a parent, you have your own journey, and that journey never stopped. You're still setting goals for yourselves, just like this same thing that you're implementing and principles you're applying with your kids, you're doing it for yourself.
Right. Yeah, it's like it becomes part of your life, every aspect of
Pretty
your life.
cool. I love it. I mean, and this has been just as great as I expected it to be. You know, it's very insightful, very enlightening for me. I've learned a lot, especially about the different types of, trainings like Barr. I knew nothing about water sports, but I love how you kind of take everything and you either intensify or personalize or make it more fun, it's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so that said, thank you. Thank you for being on.
Me on.
This is great. I hope that my audience, our listeners have as much fun, listening to it. We'll be able to follow your journey and hopefully reach out to you with some other questions. And
sounds good.
Yeah. So that said, how can people find you? Where are you right now?
So I have a website, fitfuncarly.com. You can follow me on Instagram at fitfuncarly. And I have a Facebook group if people are on Facebook. It's called Fitness Can Be Fun. And I do a lot of challenges there. And it's a great group of people who all have a similar mindset to me. And we work as a team and we do a lot of fun stuff. We all inspire each other.
That's cool.
And I also have a subscription for my classes. I have online classes. I have live classes too, but you can find that on my website, all the information for the subscription.
And then is there any last minute thoughts, any advice, especially for parents or, anything that comes to mind, any last minute thoughts?
Just remember to find the joy in whatever you're doing. Try to find the joy. Obviously, not every part of every day or every workout is joyful, but just don't let things get so overwhelming that you forget to see the light in what you're doing. And focus on that. Focus on finding the joy, because if you can find fun in what you're doing, you're going to want to do it again and again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
It has been great. I hope it was,
It was awesome. Yay. I love podcasts.
That's cool. Yeah, absolutely. And hope to have you in the near future.
Yeah.
And talk about more crazy runs and races.
Crazy Carly.
Crazy Carly's. Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Gotta get it in.